Sit back.
Do I need to sign?
Yes, please. And state your name for the record.
Lois Drumheller, Monroeville. I'm going to go real fast here. I wanted to start out by, and I hope you won't deduct me for my time here.
I want to start. You start.
Thank you.
I also wanted to, whether or not I'm sure that the eye in the sky will pick that up the right or wrong way, stop legal notice. And I'm picking up from whence we left off on Citizens Night, where we were asking many questions which ended in the decision to place a stop order or a cease and desist on some of the things that were noticed and complained about during Citizens Night, where the section of notification in the agreement was violated. And this is one of the reasons I'm going to ask in follow-up to that. You know, that resulted in something that we also saw after the cease and desist or stop work order. There was a response by Geokinetics, could have been that same day, that basically just didn't recognize that they had violated anything. They couldn't recognize what was violated in the settlement agreement, and they continued to work. They did not stop with the stop order. I'd like to know, because you know, citizens that were up here made it pretty vocal. Does this council know if Geokinetics acquired permission by property owners to collect the data for this mapping, for this seismic testing? If they didn't, how can we be assured that the data that they were collecting doing this seismic testing would be illegally obtained? And how can we be sure that it would be eradicated, redacted from what they collected? There are a number of people that aren't simply going to stand by. In fact, Sustainable Monroeville would like to let anybody who has their own intention to follow it to please notify us, because a letter should be sent, and we feel that the VP of General Counsel and Corporate Secretary of Geokinetics should get the following letter. Dear, person, I am a resident of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and I reside at my address. Over the past few weeks, Geokinetics conducted a seismic survey in Monroeville. Not only didn't Geokinetics abide by the local ordinance to provide 30-day notice of your seismic activities, Geokinetics failed to secure my permission to seismic survey my property. And per your own statements in the 10-K statement of the SEC filings, which I've given you a copy, per your own statements, Geokinetics, so the SEC in the 10-K statement, you state, and this is a quote, our operations are subject to delays related to obtaining land access rights from third parties, which could affect our results of operations. We cannot begin surveys on property without obtaining permits from certain governmental entities, as well as the permission of the parties who have the right to the land being surveyed. In our multi-client service business, we acquire data sets pertaining to large areas of land. Consequently, if we do not obtain land access rights from a specific landowner, we may not be able to provide a complete survey for that area. The failure to redact or to remove the seismic information relating to mineral interests held by non-consenting third parties could result in claims against us for seismic trespass. And of course, there is a link to that direct statement online and the internet. Going on with this letter, you're going to tell them, if you're going to send this letter, and you can contact us if you would like to, you're going to say you didn't obtain permission from me to survey my property survey. I now demand that Geokinetics take action to redact or otherwise remove the seismic information related to my mineral interests. As you note, to do otherwise would subject you to claims against you for seismic trespass. Please be advised if you have, advise me, rather, if you have acquired data or other information I own from the address above, please also advise me as to how you plan to redact my information and to verify that you have redacted the information. I will forward your reply. Sincerely, John Q. Public, Joan Q. Public. And so, does the council know, going back to that question, if GeoKinetics acquired permission by property owners to collect the data for mapping?
Why don't you go through your questions and comments, that way we can answer them all at the
Okay.
end. Give you your 5 minutes.
All right. How could Monroeville provide access to the utility easement in the right-of-way? Speaking of right-of-ways and easements, when there are strong legal arguments for seismic testing crews not having access to the utility easement in the front yard area next to the roadway where utility poles would then be placed, the seismic surveyors are not a public utility. If this is so, then Monroeville had no ability to permit GeoKinetics to place their geophones in the utility easement portion of the right-of-way. Why is the government not, here, not aware of these things? This is it's an argument everywhere. I'm sure across the United States this is an argument. How could you not recognize that right away? And by the way, since I only have a little time left here, as you will answer that, I'm sure. But in the Citizens Night, what I had asked, since I think 5 members of council were going to be attending the ALUM conference, that a report would be shared with us in follow-up to the ALUM conference. And because this was Allegheny municipalities getting together, and what I had encouraged you, and I think, Mr. Mayor, you agreed that it was a good question, including one-to-one conversations or panel discussions. The General Assembly members, I'm sure, were there, with other local Allegheny municipalities are there, as to what is being done to safely regulate gas and oil in their area. Now, was that something that you can give us a report on?
Thank you very much.
All right. And I will
No,
wait
before,
your answer.
Mr. Mayor, may I? Lois, no, I have to ask you, and I appreciate you're trying to give all this legalese. I didn't realize that you're an attorney, but your comment on Facebook about telling residents, you might as well hear it. Well, that's fine. But your comments on Facebook were terrible, telling residents to take off those phones and return them. Now,
Mr. Mayor,
this is
who's the
very,
order of
no,
this meeting?
ma'am, I am speaking. I did not interrupt.
I would like to know if there's order to this meeting.
There is.
Yeah,
You had your 5 minutes.
yeah,
And I gave you that.
right.
Council member wanted to counterpoint and make
No, the councilman
No,
wanted
he-
to actually attack.
He has
No,
the
tell the
floor.
truth.
He has the floor at this point.
Again, I don't think anybody here on this council, and I'll get back to my point on the Facebook comment about Mrs. Drumheller telling people to take the phone out of the ground and send it, which was illegal. That's why they're giving them a couple of days to return them. Now, there's 3 out there. My question to you, Lois, do you know where they're at? Because you're the one that suggested it. They took your advice. My issue is that there's nobody on this council everybody wants clean water, clean air. I've got grandkids. I want them to have all that. We're not going to do anything to harm this community or anything on that. Your turn, Lois.
Mr. Ratcher, how would you size that accusation up? It was
on Facebook.
I'm not sizing any accusations up. I did read it. You said it.
Yeah? How would you size that up?
I'm not sizing it up.
Okay, how would you size that up, Mayor?
Well, this is what we're going to do. You had your 5 minutes. Mr. Erosenko had the floor. His comments are over as well.
My comments are done.
And I'm going to move on to the next
Yeah.
resident.
His attack is done.
Move to adjourn.